Welcome.
Hey you guys, what's happening? Well, what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be looking at factoring difference of squares. First, what we need to do is we need to look at what that actually means. We need to look at the vocab. So what does factoring mean? Factoring means to make into a multiplication statement. So factoring to make into a multiplication statement. Then we need to think about, what does the word difference mean? Difference means only to subtract. Now, we also have squares. We've got factoring difference of squares. Squares are numbers or terms that can be square rooted into a whole number. These are perfect squares. So, what we have is we're going to look at a squared minus 9. And we're going to look and to make sure that we have some perfect squares. Well, a squared is a perfect square. And 9 is also a perfect square. So that fits our criteria. We've got two perfect squares. And what we're going to do is we're going to make them into a multiplication statement. Well, we also have a minus sign. So our criteria have been met. Now what we're going to do is we're going to ask ourselves, what makes up a squared? Well, a times a. And what makes up 9 when we square root it? 3. So 3 times 3 is 9, and a times a is a squared. So what we're going to do now is we're going to factor our binomial. And we're going to put our two terms into our brackets. And then, now this is the most important point, we've got to put some signs into our brackets. And our first ones can be positive, and our second one has to be negative. It doesn't matter which order you put them in, but they have to be opposite. And now what we have is we have our factors of a squared minus 9. And you can always check your answer by foiling. And what we're going to do is we just go a times a, which is a squared. A times negative 3 is negative 3a. And a times 3 is positive 3a. And then 3 times negative 3 is negative 9. Now what you're going to see is negative 3 and negative 3a and positive 3a cancel each other out. And we just get a squared minus 9. So it works out. Let's try one more. So we check to see if our terms are perfect squares. 81 and g squared are both perfect squares. So we can take the square root and we get 9g. And 100y squared, well, those are both perfect squares as well. And we get 10y. Now we also have to make sure that we've got a minus sign. Taking the difference of squares does not work unless there's a minus sign in there. So then what we do is we put our two sets of brackets down, and we get 9g and 10y, 9g and 10y. We now put in our positive and negative, and voila, there's our factoring of difference of squares. And we can check our answer. We're going to get 81g squared. Then we're going to get negative 90gy. And then, this is the important part, we're going to get positive 90gy. And then we're going to get negative 100y squared. These two middle terms always cancel out when we have difference of squares. So we're going to get 81g squared minus 100y squared. Now, you might be asking yourself, well, why doesn't it work if we have a positive sign in there? Well, let's try it out. what if we get 9x squared plus 49? These are both perfect squares, and if we take the square root, we're going to get 3x, and we're going to get 7. So those would be our terms. So let's put them into brackets and check to see if this works. We get 3x and 7, 3x and 7. Now we'd put pluses in, and we'd FOIL these out, and we'd get 9x squared, and then we get 21 plus 21x, then we get another plus 21x, and then we get 49. If we add our like terms together, we're going to get 9x squared plus 42x plus 49. We do not get our answer. We cannot find the factor of difference of squares if we don't have a minus sign. I'd like you to try this for me, please. 16x squared minus 25. And then I want you to make your own and check. All right, go to it.